Ja, ich glaube,
Okay, I think a very important point of departure was the question, why is so little known throughout Germany about this organisation? And we have a guest from Great Britain, where the LaRouche organisation is also an issue. It has been active there for decades, and therefore I'd like to ask Simon Hughes to briefly introduce himself and then tell us a little bit about the situation in Great Britain. What do you know about this organisation? And also, could you please stick to 3 minutes, 5 minutes?
I'm going to stand up, thank you very much, and I will be brief. It's better to go after the interval than before, but I'll try and make sure everybody stays awake. My name is Simon Hughes. I'm a Member of Parliament. I've been a Member of Parliament for 25 years. I am a Member of Parliament for a London constituency. I'm a human rights lawyer by background, and I am President of the Liberal Democrat Party in the UK, which is the third party in the UK Parliament. I'm here not because originally I had been academically or as a lawyer following LaRouche, but because Jeremiah's family came to ask for help. So I come, as it were, from the personal to the general, rather than from the general to the personal. I had in the past in Parliament taken an interest in sects and in organizations and cults and groups which had captured people and had held on to them and used psychological and other techniques to brainwash them. And there has been a group of members of Parliament from all parties with that interest, periodically challenging the government in our country to do more and other governments in other countries to do more. I have a very simple view about this case based on the evidence I have heard. My simple view is that Jerry appeared to be a normal and behaviourally entirely conventional 22-year-old in a general sense who was away from Britain studying in France. He did not behave consistently with that background in the moments before his death. That's evidenced by the facts, most obviously, of the phone call back to his mum, but also to his girlfriend in Paris, and the behaviour witnessed by his flatmate. It's also evident without any doubt that he had said to people in the Wiesbaden centre that he was Jewish, and that was his background. The evidence of the drivers was also not of somebody who was behaving rationally, and therefore there were questions to be answered. Whether or not the local authorities did their job adequately, and I say this respectfully, but as a lawyer and as somebody who believes in the end you have a duty to go, as in England we'd call the extra mile, they did not do it fully. There's no doubt in my mind that the police and the prosecuting authorities did not fully investigate the circumstances of Jerry's death. That is not sufficient. It should have been then taken up by the state authorities. It wasn't sufficiently taken up by the state authorities. If the state authorities were unwilling to do that, then I would have hoped they would have responded to pressure from the federal authorities. None of that has happened, and effectively the book has been closed in Germany for the time being. That's why the family took up the case in England through the courts, through the inquest procedure, rightfully. The coroner in England did not endorse the conclusions in Germany. First reason for doubting the conclusions in Germany: independent assessment of cause of death, different conclusion from the one in Germany. And now there is a challenge within the English system as to whether the inquest can be reopened, and there are good precedents for inquests being reopened. That has just let somebody turn off their phone. There are precedents for inquests being reopened and having to be reheard. 99 of my colleagues, 99 parliamentarians, of all parties in the House of Commons in the UK have expressed their concern about the case in very clear terms. I'll just read you the end of what they've said. They say, believe that a further investigation of the case is now urgently required, calls on the Attorney General to support the application for a new inquest, urges the Attorney General to liaise with her German counterpart as a matter of urgency to establish the truth, and further calls on the government to ensure that with the assistance of mutual aid treaties, a full investigation into Duggan's death is carried out. So there's a very strong parliamentary view. I am here to support the family first, to support that view that I've expressed, that there needs to be a further opening of the inquest and a further investigation, and to say to the authorities in Germany that I will work with my colleagues in the German Parliament, cross parties, it's not a party matter, and in the European Parliament to make sure that the wider questions are investigated. And during the tea break, I'll end with this, Chairman, if I may, I was talking to one of our number. In the UK, we had a very famous inquiry recently into the death of somebody called David Kelly, a scientist, who was a civil servant and who died in the context of the debates about whether we were justified to go to war against Iraq. The inquiry did not limit itself to what happened on the morning he walked out into the woods in Oxfordshire. The inquiry was about the circumstances. And from that, I have an absolutely clear view that the circumstances of LaRouche's behavior in taking young people in particular into their context and then holding them there, it would seem to me, has a prima facie case for investigation. Absolutely clear about that. I don't come with a prejudice about Mr. LaRouche or Mrs. LaRouche. They have funny ideas in my book, but lots of people have funny ideas. They have some evil ideas and prejudiced and racist ideas. So do lots of people. Not acceptable, but so do lots of people. The question is, are they going over the line in how they treat individuals and whether individuals are being treated against the German fundamental law? My simple understanding of the fundamental law of Germany is that there is a case to answer, that they are in breach, it would seem to me, and I think that it's absolutely right that the case has gone to the Constitutional Court in Karlsruhe. So I am persuaded that the evidence starting from my investigation from Jeremiah, but then learning what I've learned, says that there is a case for this organization to answer. It is unacceptable that people are not free to join organizations, but it's unacceptable that they're not equally free in the same frame of mind to leave them. And it seems to me that LaRouche has a severe question about its willingness to allow people to be free to leave in the way in which they came.